Ladies and gentlemen, imagine waking up one morning with a fire in your soul, a burning desire to uncover the hidden truths that shape your life and the lives of those you cherish most. Today, we embark on a journey to unmask the subtle, often concealed, forces that may be quietly eroding the very bonds we hold dear. At the heart of our exploration is a powerful revelation. Sometimes, the people we trust the most, our friends and family, can unwittingly harbor destructive traits that, if left unchecked, can become the demons that cloud our happiness, hinder our growth, and divert us from our destined path. In the next few moments, I invite you to open your hearts and minds as we reveal 5 unmistakable signs that may indicate these insidious influences are at work in the people closest to us. I recall a moment from not so long ago when I encountered a dear friend whose luminous spirit was gradually being dimmed by the weight of negativity. Her eyes, once bright with hope and determination, had grown clouded with despair, and the joyful laughter that once filled her home was now replaced by hushed whispers of sorrow. In the midst of this darkness, she confided in me a story of betrayal and relentless criticism, a narrative of subtle manipulations that slowly drained her self-worth. It was in that raw, heart-wrenching moment that I realized the profound truth. Sometimes the demons we fear lie not in the shadows of distant strangers, but in the very relationships we nurture every day. Her journey illuminated a painful lesson that the most dangerous adversaries can hide behind familiar smiles and comforting words. We begin our exploration with the first sign, the relentless need to control. It is a force that often masquerades as care or concern, but beneath the surface, it is a subtle yet dangerous attempt to dominate another's choices, dreams, and identity. Picture a scenario where every decision you make, from the simplest daily tasks to the grandest aspirations of your life, is met with unwarranted criticism or unsolicited advice. At first, it might seem like genuine guidance, a helping hand in navigating the complexities of life. But as time passes, you begin to feel as though your choices are not your own. They are overshadowed by the persistent, unyielding presence of someone who believes they know what is best for you, sometimes even more than you do. This controlling influence can manifest in countless ways. A family member who dismisses your career aspirations as mere fantasies, or a friend who systematically undermines your relationships by sowing seeds of doubt. It is a slow, creeping erosion of autonomy that leaves you questioning the authenticity of your own desires. The second sign is the art of manipulation, a skill honed by those who thrive on bending the truth to suit their own ends. This manipulation is not always overt or dramatic. It is a quiet, corrosive force that warps reality and distorts your sense of self. Imagine a person in your inner circle who, when confronted with a mistake, refuses to accept responsibility and instead turns the situation around, making you feel as though you are the one at fault. Over time, this repeated pattern can lead you to doubt your own perceptions, creating a haze of confusion and self-reproach. The seeds of manipulation are planted in small, seemingly insignificant comments that, when pieced together, form a tapestry of self-doubt. It is like watching a skilled artist at work, one who subtly transforms vibrant colors into shades of gray until you no longer recognize the masterpiece that was once your true self. Moving deeper into our examination, the third sign to be aware of is the tendency towards emotional volatility. In every relationship, there are moments of passion and intensity, But when emotional outbursts become the norm rather than the exception, it is a clear warning signal that the relationship may be under the influence of destructive forces. Emotional volatility can be as unpredictable as a storm at sea. Sudden, overwhelming, and leaving behind a trail of devastation. When a loved one's emotions swing from euphoria to despair in the blink of an eye, it creates an environment of instability that can sap your strength and resilience. This unpredictability often results in a constant state of hypervigilance, where you find yourself walking on eggshells, anticipating the next emotional explosion, and fearing the damage it might inflict. The toll of this emotional roller coaster is not only felt in the immediate moments of crisis, but lingers in the quiet aftermath, leaving scars that take time and care to heal. The fourth sign to consider is a pattern of persistent negativity, an attitude so steeped in pessimism that it becomes almost contagious. Negativity, when left unchecked, can infiltrate every corner of your existence, coloring your experiences with doubt and despair. It is like a dark cloud that follows you, obscuring the light of hope and optimism. In relationships, this negativity often takes the form of constant complaining, a relentless focus on problems rather than solutions, and a habit of magnifying the minor setbacks while dismissing the major triumphs. The person engulfed by such negativity might not even realize the extent of its impact, as it becomes an inseparable part of their identity. Yet, when you are surrounded by such an influence, you might find your own outlook on life gradually shifting, your inner voice growing more critical and less forgiving. It is an insidious process that, if not confronted, can lead to a downward spiral where even the simplest joys are lost in a sea of relentless gloom. Finally, we arrive at the fifth sign, the lack of genuine empathy and compassion. A chilling void in what should be the core of every meaningful relationship. True connection is built on a foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and care for one another's well-being. When you notice a persistent absence of empathy, when the responses to your struggles are met with indifference, or worse, judgment, it is a clear indicator that something is deeply amiss. Empathy is not merely about sharing in someone's joys. It is also about being present in their moments of pain and vulnerability. Without it, relationships become barren landscapes, devoid of the nourishing water of genuine human connection. The absence of empathy can manifest subtly, a dismissive remark when you share your hardships, a lack of interest in your dreams, or a consistent failure to recognize the emotional turmoil of those around you. It creates an emotional chasm that over time widens until the once cherished bonds feel irreparably fractured. As we reflect on these 5 signs, it is important to recognize that acknowledging these issues is not an act of judgment, but a necessary step towards healing and transformation. It is an invitation to look within our relationships with the same compassion and honesty we reserve for our own introspection. The journey of recognizing these destructive patterns can be painful, for it forces us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that the people we love may be inadvertently perpetuating harm. However, it is only by shining a light on these shadows that we can begin to dispel them and reclaim the vibrancy of our lives. Each decision, from the clothes she wore to the career path she pursued, was meticulously dictated by someone who believed they knew better. Over time, the young woman found herself drowning in a sea of self-doubt and fear, unable to discern her own desires from the imposed expectations of another. It was not until she summoned the courage to break free from this toxic dynamic, a decision that required immense strength and a deep, unwavering faith in her own worth, that she discovered the transformative power of self-liberation. Her journey was not easy, marked by moments of intense isolation and heartache, but in reclaiming her autonomy, she unlocked a reservoir of potential that had long been stifled. Her experience is a poignant reminder that while the demons of control, manipulation, volatility, negativity, and a lack of empathy can loom large, they are not insurmountable. With clarity, compassion, and a steadfast commitment to our own growth, we can overcome these shadows and forge relationships that uplift rather than undermine our spirit. In the process of introspection, it is vital to understand that these signs are not always black and white. They often exist on a continuum, interwoven with both light and shadow. Many of us have experienced moments where a friend's advice may have seemed overbearing, or where a loved one's passion erupted into unbridled emotion. The key lies in recognizing the pattern. When these instances become a recurring theme rather than isolated occurrences, it is this pattern that gives rise to what we might call the demons in our relationships, subtle but persistent forces that, over time, erode the foundation of trust and mutual respect. By acknowledging their presence, we empower ourselves to initiate conversations, set boundaries, and, where possible, help our loved ones see the impact of their behavior. Change is rarely instantaneous, but every step taken towards mutual understanding is a step away from the darkness that threatens to consume us. One must also consider the role of self-awareness in this transformative journey. It is not enough to simply identify the behaviors in others. We must also be willing to reflect on our own contributions to the relational dynamic. Sometimes, in our desire for connection and acceptance, we may unwittingly enable these patterns by tolerating behaviors that are harmful to our well-being. The process of change begins with an honest appraisal of how we interact with those around us, and a commitment to nurturing relationships that are based on mutual respect and genuine care. This introspection, though challenging, is a vital component of personal growth. It calls us to embrace vulnerability and to understand that in order to heal and grow, we must first confront the aspects of our lives that are in need of change. In moments of profound despair, when the demons of control and manipulation seem to have woven an inescapable web around our hearts, it is the power of inner strength that offers a beacon of hope. Think of the countless stories of individuals who, despite being engulfed by toxic relationships, found the courage to redefine their boundaries and reclaim their lives. Their journeys serve as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a spirit that, even in the darkest of times, is capable of rising above adversity. Each step taken towards self-liberation is a defiant act against the forces that seek to diminish our light. It is a declaration that our worth is not measured by the expectations of others, but by the truth that resides within each of us. A truth that is unassailable and eternal. We must also recognize that addressing these demons within our relationships is not about casting judgment or assigning blame. Rather, it is an act of self-preservation and love. It is about creating an environment where every individual can flourish without the burden of undue influence. In this endeavor, communication becomes our most potent tool. When we engage in heartfelt dialogue, we not only express our own truths, but also invite others to share theirs. This exchange of vulnerability and understanding can bridge the gaps that have been widened by years of neglect or misunderstanding. It is a process that requires patience, empathy, and the willingness to forgive, not because we condone the harmful behavior, but because we understand that every human being is on their own journey of growth and healing. As we navigate the complexities of our interpersonal relationships, let us remember that every challenge we face is an opportunity for renewal. The signs of control, manipulation, emotional volatility, persistent negativity, and a lack of empathy are not indictments of our loved one's entire character. Rather, they are signals that there is work to be done, a call to action for both parties to reassess and rebuild. This is not a path of isolation, but one that invites collaboration, where both the giver and the receiver of care have the opportunity to evolve. It is in this spirit of mutual growth that we find the strength to overcome the shadows that have for too long obscured the light of our relationships. The journey towards healthier connections is often fraught with obstacles, and it demands that we confront painful truths about those we hold dear. Yet, it is precisely in facing these truths that we unlock the potential for transformative change. The courage to acknowledge the existence of these demons in our relationships is the first step towards dismantling the barriers that separate us from the fullness of our own potential. It calls for a deliberate, often arduous process of introspection, dialogue, and the willingness to set firm boundaries. Actions that are not always easy, but are necessary for our continued well-being. In doing so, we reclaim our power and reaffirm our commitment to living lives that are not dictated by fear or manipulation, but are instead guided by the principles of love, respect, and authenticity. When we stand at the crossroads of these difficult decisions, it is essential to remember that every choice we make has the power to redefine our reality. Each time we choose to speak our truth, to set a boundary, or to seek help when we feel overwhelmed by the negativity around us, we are making a profound statement about our worth and our commitment to a better future. It is a declaration that we refuse to be held captive by the destructive patterns that have for so long undermined our happiness. In this choice, we find the seeds of transformation, a reminder that even the most deeply ingrained habits can be reshaped through the power of love and self-respect. Let us consider the transformative power of forgiveness, not as a means of absolving harmful behavior, but as a way to liberate ourselves from the chains of resentment and anger that can bind us to the past. Forgiveness, in its truest form, is an act of radical self-love. It is the decision to let go of the bitterness that prevents us from fully embracing the present moment, and the promise: by forgiving, we do not condone the actions that have caused us pain. Rather, we choose to free ourselves from the cycle of negativity that threatens to define our existence. It is a courageous act that paves the way for healing, allowing us to rebuild relationships on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. In the quiet moments of reflection, when the world around us seems to be in chaos, it is important to find solace in the unwavering truth that each of us is capable of change. The demons we encounter in our relationships are not immutable. They are challenges that, when met with determination and compassion, can be overcome. This is the essence of our shared journey, a journey that demands that we look not only at the flaws in others, but also at the untapped potential within ourselves. It is an invitation to cultivate a spirit of resilience and optimism, even in the face of adversity. There is a profound strength in acknowledging that we cannot control the actions of those around us, but we can always choose how we respond to them. In embracing this truth, we empower ourselves to take proactive steps towards creating healthier dynamics. This might mean engaging in honest conversations, seeking professional guidance, or simply choosing to distance ourselves from influences that consistently drain our energy. Every action, no matter how small, contributes to the larger tapestry of our lives, a tapestry that is woven with threads of hope, courage, and the unwavering belief in our own worth. Throughout our lives, we are presented with countless opportunities to redefine the narrative of our relationships. Each encounter, each conversation holds the potential to either reinforce the shadows of negativity or to illuminate the path towards healing and renewal. By choosing to confront the signs that indicate the presence of these destructive influences, we are not only protecting ourselves, but also offering a chance for redemption to those who may be lost in their own struggles. It is a reminder that even the darkest moments can give way to a dawn of new beginnings if we are willing to embrace the challenge and step into the light. The path before us is not one of isolation or despair, but of collective empowerment. The call to action that invites us to reclaim the power of our own narratives. As we continue on this journey, let us be mindful of the fact that every step taken towards self-improvement and genuine connection is a victory over the forces that seek to diminish our spirit. The process of healing is neither linear nor instantaneous. It is a gradual unfolding of truth, a series of small, deliberate choices that gradually dissolve the barriers of negativity and mistrust. And in this process, we discover that true strength lies not in the absence of challenges, but in our unwavering commitment to rise above them. Every person in our lives, whether a friend or a family member, carries within them the capacity for both light and darkness. It is this delicate balance that defines the complexity of our relationships. In recognizing the signs of control, manipulation, emotional volatility, persistent negativity, and a lack of empathy, we are not condemning those we love. Rather, we are acknowledging that every relationship, no matter how cherished, requires continual nurturing and honest dialogue. The act of bringing these issues to light is an act of profound love, one that prioritizes the long-term well-being of everyone involved over the temporary comfort of silence. The journey of transformation requires us to be vigilant in our self-reflection and courageous in our willingness to address uncomfortable truths. It is not enough to simply identify the presence of these destructive traits. We must also take deliberate steps to cultivate an environment where honesty and vulnerability are celebrated, and where every individual is encouraged to grow and evolve. In doing so, we create a ripple effect that extends far beyond our immediate circles, inspiring others to embark on their own journeys of self-discovery and renewal. It is through these collective efforts that we can build a community grounded in empathy, respect, and the unwavering belief that every life has the potential for profound transformation. In the quiet moments when you feel overwhelmed by the complexities of your relationships, remember that every challenge is an invitation to discover the hidden reservoirs of strength and resilience within you. There is a power that comes from facing adversity head-on, a power that transforms not only the individual but the entire fabric of the community. When we choose to confront the demons that may be lurking in the dynamics of our closest relationships, We are taking a stand for our own well-being and for the well-being of those we hold dear. It is an act of defiance against the forces of negativity, a declaration that we will no longer allow harmful patterns to dictate the course of our lives. In this moment of collective reflection, let us find the courage to look deeply into the mirror of our relationships and to acknowledge both the light and the shadow. For every instance of control, every subtle act of manipulation, every burst of emotional volatility, every wave of persistent negativity, and every moment marked by a lack of empathy, there exists the opportunity for growth, for understanding, and it is through these challenges that we come to understand the true nature of love, a love that is patient, forgiving, and relentless in its pursuit of truth and authenticity. As you continue on your journey of self-discovery and relational healing, may you always remember that you are not defined by the negative influences that may surround you, but by the boundless potential that lies within your spirit. Each day is a new beginning, a fresh opportunity to redefine your boundaries, to reclaim your autonomy, and to build relationships that nurture rather than deplete your soul. With every courageous step you take, you are not only transforming your own life, but you are also inspiring those around you to seek the same liberation and light. There is a quiet power in the act of choosing to love oneself enough to walk away from what no longer serves you, to stand firm in the face of manipulation, and to demand the respect and empathy that every human being deserves. It is a power that resonates from the deepest recesses of your heart and echoes through every decision you make. By embracing this power, you affirm that you are worthy of joy, worthy of respect, and worthy of the kind of relationships that celebrate your authentic self, and in doing so, you become a beacon of hope for others who may be struggling to break free from the shadows that have too long held them captive. In this shared journey of life, the signs we have discussed, control, manipulation, emotional volatility, persistent negativity, and a lack of empathy, are not verdicts of despair, but calls to action. They are reminders that even within the most cherished relationships, there can exist hidden struggles that demand our attention and care. They urge us to approach our interactions with the clarity of mind and the depth of heart required to foster genuine connection. Each encounter is an opportunity to learn, to heal, and to grow, both as individuals and as a collective community, united by the common pursuit of a brighter, more compassionate future. Every challenge, every moment of doubt is a stepping stone towards the ultimate realization of our potential, a potential that is unbounded by the limitations of past hurts or the shadows of negative influences. It is a reminder that even in the midst of chaos, there exists a sanctuary of inner peace, a reservoir of strength that can carry us through the darkest of times. By choosing to confront the demons that may hide within our closest relationships, we are choosing to step into the light of our true selves, to embrace the fullness of our potential, and to create a legacy of love and resilience that will endure for generations to come. Recognizing that subtle control, even when disguised as care, is an insidious force that gradually undermines the core of who we are, our personal autonomy, and the very essence of our decision-making, requires a deep and reflective understanding of both the overt and covert dynamics at play in our closest relationships. It is a process that starts with a seemingly benign gesture, a piece of advice offered with genuine concern, a suggestion made in the name of love, or even a gentle reminder that is meant to protect us from harm. But over time, These actions can weave a complex web of dependency and diminished self-reliance. In the earliest moments, we might not even notice the subtle shifts in our behavior or the slight narrowing of our choices. But as days turn into weeks and months, these well-intentioned interventions begin to erode the natural boundaries that define our individuality. When someone continually asserts their perspective under the guise of caring for our best interests, they may inadvertently or sometimes purposefully create a dynamic where our own judgments and decisions become second-guessed, eventually leading to an internalized belief that our opinions are less valid than those offered by the person we once trusted. This phenomenon is not easily recognized because it hides behind layers of affection and concern. Often, the individual exerting control is someone deeply embedded in our lives. A parent, a partner, a friend, or even a mentor, whose every word is laden with the assumption that they are guiding us toward a better future. The challenge lies in deciphering whether the actions taken are out of genuine care or if they are part of a broader pattern aimed at consolidating influence. It is important to remember that when care transforms into control, it is not merely an isolated behavior, but part of a broader spectrum of actions that gradually limit our ability to make autonomous decisions. The subtlety of this control lies in its invisibility. It is masked as a protective measure, a way of sparing us from potential harm. Yet its effect is to disarm us from thinking independently. Each time we yield a decision or allow someone else to dictate our choices, we inch further away from the freedom of our own voice. And over time, this can lead to a diminished sense of self, where our internal compass is so reliant on external guidance that we forget how to navigate life on our own. The slow erosion of autonomy often begins with minor decisions: what we wear, how we spend our free time, even the way we interact with others. At first, these decisions may seem inconsequential, but they accumulate into a significant loss of personal agency. Imagine a scenario in which a loved one repeatedly insists on selecting the best course of action for you, all the while assuring you that they are acting in your best interest. The initial compliance might be born out of gratitude and trust, but as this pattern continues, you may begin to doubt your own preferences. The gentle nudges evolve into an unspoken rule. Your needs and desires are secondary to the decisions made for you. This pattern of behavior subtly instills a belief that you are incapable of handling your own affairs, and that only through the intervention of someone who knows you better can you truly thrive. Over time, this dynamic results in a quiet surrender of your personal boundaries, leaving you with an ingrained habit of deferring to the judgment. Another layer of this subtle control is the emotional dependency that often forms as a result. When someone consistently positions themselves as the guardian of your well-being, you begin to internalize the notion that their approval is essential for your own happiness. This can lead to a cycle where every decision is made not based on what you truly want, but rather on what will earn you continued support and validation. The emotional tether becomes so strong that you start to measure your worth by the degree to which your choices align with their expectations. What was once a healthy, nurturing relationship can quickly evolve into a situation where your autonomy is sacrificed in favor of maintaining an illusion of safety and care. The gradual replacement of self-trust with a reliance on external validation not only limits your ability to grow, but also creates a barrier to developing a fully independent sense of identity. In these scenarios, the careful balance between care and control is so delicately tipped that it is often invisible to the person on the receiving end. It is a form of manipulation that plays on the natural human desire to be loved and accepted, exploiting vulnerabilities in the process. The caregiver's constant interventions, though dressed in the language of compassion, gradually become the sole lens through which you view the world. Your decisions, preferences, and even your aspirations become filtered through this singular perspective, leaving little room for the messy, beautiful complexity of your authentic self to emerge. This is the quiet tyranny of subtle control, a slow, almost imperceptible usurpation of the self that leaves you feeling both grateful for the care provided and conflicted by the loss of your own voice. Over time, as the protective layer of externally provided solutions becomes deeply embedded, it fosters a culture of dependency that is hard to break free from. The dependency is not born out of a lack of capability, but rather from a sustained environment where independent thought and decision-making are subtly discouraged. It is as if the very act of making choices becomes an overwhelming responsibility, one that is easier to relinquish in favor of relying on someone else who claims to have all the answers. The transition from a state of independence to one of dependency is often marked by a creeping self-doubt, where you begin to question the validity of your own desires. The internal dialogue transforms from a confident assertion of self to a hesitant murmur of uncertainty. In this state, the allure of constant guidance becomes irresistible, and each subsequent decision is a step further into the diminishing landscape of personal autonomy. The consequences of this gradual erosion are profound. When the foundation of your decision-making is undermined, it affects not only your day-to-day choices, but also the broader trajectory of your life. The subtle control that once seemed protective gradually limits your capacity to explore new ideas, to take risks, and to embrace the full spectrum of human experience. Instead of cultivating a life that is rich with diverse perspectives and personal achievements, you find yourself confined within a narrow framework defined by another's vision of what is best for you. This confinement is often accompanied by an overwhelming sense of loss, a mourning for the opportunities and experiences that might have been if you had been allowed to chart your own course. The insidious nature of this control is that it rarely reveals itself until the loss is irreversible, and by then the damage to your self-confidence and independence has taken deep root. The insidious effects extend into the realm of emotional well-being as well. Constantly deferring to another's judgment can create an internal conflict where the desire to please clashes with the innate need for self-expression. This emotional dissonance often leads to feelings of frustration, helplessness, and even resentment. You might find yourself caught in a vicious cycle where the comfort of external validation is always offset by an underlying dissatisfaction, a nagging awareness that your true self is being stifled. The more you rely on another to make decisions for you, the more alienated you become from your own emotions and desires. This alienation can manifest in a variety of ways, from a general sense of apathy to a more acute form of depression, where the simple act of choosing becomes an insurmountable challenge. The erosion of personal autonomy, therefore, is not just a matter of lost freedom, but also a significant blow to your mental and emotional health.